Hey guys.
Cheesin'. Grins up.
Oh, no.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Put your grin on. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the What If Podcast.
Thanks, Mom.
Who's that voice?
That's me.
Sorry. Is that your ventriloquism coming through? Is that what we have there?
Yes, I've been throwing my voice to the corner of this room.
Dope. What's it say when you throw your voice into the corner of the room? Okay.
Hi, Lydia.
Hello.
How are things?
I'm good.
Man, Spencer,
And
you can
things
really
are good.
change your voice. That's crazy.
Thanks, dude.
Oh,
Hi.
just kidding.
Hi, I'm Spencer.
Nailed it.
Hey.
Your Spencer impression's on point.
In case anyone ever gets upset with us for not responding to things on social media or emails ever again, one person tweeted us, hey, you should have Lydia on, and the next week, here she is.
Yeah.
That's true.
There you go.
One person tweeted at
Y'all
us.
are welcome.
Tweeted it at us last week, and how many people have emailed us and tweeted it at us since
we're
Lydia was
responding
on
to
last?
months of,
Yes, a cumulative backlog of requests to have you back on the show. Hi, Lydia.
Is that a thing?
You are by far our most highly requested guest.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
Actually,
Yeah, I
you and
know.
Sims are the only ones that people have ever been like, hey, you should have them back.
An honor and a privilege. Thank you, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I'd like to thank my mother and my father.
For birth.
Because if I didn't have them both, I wouldn't have me.
That's how that works. That's how biology happens.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We haven't had a guest on the show at all in...
50 episodes, he said.
Is it 50? Did I say that?
Yeah, you said that to me.
It was probably since you and Sims were on the live show, honestly.
Oh,
brother.
yeah. That was around episode 100.
Yeah.
And
And
we
now
didn't even
you're
put-
around 150.
Well, we're not.
Sorta.
But we didn't even put the 100th episode on the normal, the free.
Fuck you guys.
Well, and by fuck you guys, what he means is it is
You gotta
available.
pay for that shit.
No, we made it for free. It's on the Patreon.
You don't have to pay for that shit.
We do 2 episodes a week. It's patreon.com/whatifpodcast if you want the second paid episode every week. It's only $5 a month. You get 4 extra episodes a month. And you can go listen to our 100th episode party, which features Lydia Liza and the homie Sims. What up,
Homie
man?
Sims.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's one of those days, though.
It's a little dreary.
It's a glooms day.
Based on Lydia, your most recent social media cadence, it is
Not a day
a good day to listen
to Crash Into Me by the Dave Matthews Band. But the last 2 days were perfect days to listen
Very-
to Crash Into Me by the Dave Matthews Band.
Now-
Why? What makes that so?
Okay,
can
well,
you
when you
dispel
get-
that criteria for us?
Yeah. When you get a little bit of sunshine, then it's the perfect time because you got your time. And then it just feels right and it flows with the summertime sunshine.
You think of Crash Into Me as like a sunny summer song?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
You don't?
What is that song about?
I don't know.
It's about what every song's about. It's about sexual intercourse,
Oh.
which my mother and my father
Can't do
had.
that in the winter.
And now I'm here.
Thanks, biology teacher. Wait, is that what it's
The
about?
whole song's about. Can I read you some
I mean,
of
the
the
name
lyrics?
of it is Crash Into Me.
Okay, here. Let
Or
me.
Crash or
It's kind
whatever.
of a. I don't.
She didn't say it was good sex.
Okay, so
say it's-
here are the
That's not
lyrics.
how I like to think of it for whatever
But he says
it's
this.
worth.
He says, "You've got your ball. You've got your
Balls.
chained, tied to me tight. Tie me up
tying people
again.
up.
Tie me up again." And then he says, "Into your heart I'll beat again." Blah blah blah
going
blah
into
blah.
people.
You come crash into me, and I come into you.
Yeah.
And he's
Sounds like it to me.
He's talking
I
about
kinda forgot about that.
ejaculation.
I
Thank
did,
you.
did forget about that one line.
Thanks for clarifying that.
and then he says this, "Oh, I watch you there through the window, and I stare at you."
Oh. This is getting.
And he's saying he's
Way
waiting for
creepier.
you to come crash into him so that he can come into you.
Well.
I love
I knew there was a reason I don't listen
Monday.
to Dave Matthews Band.
Ayo! Shots fired. Shots fired.
Can we talk about talking mongoose instead?
Mongoose? Is mongoose the plural of mongoose?
It's going to be, as far as I'm concerned,
How about mongai?
No,
sounds
thank you.
gross.
Oh.
That-
This was a yes and podcast, not a no thank you podcast.
I'm saying no thank you. When I'm here, some things don't fly.
You get in that closet, you think about what you've done.
Dude,
September 1931.
September 30, 91.
It was a leap year that year.
Ryan, this took place in Dalby on the Isle of Man.
Oh, you mean Dalby?
Do you know where that is?
Oh, I love me some Dalby. I was raised in Dalby.
So
the Isle of Man.
My granddad fed me my first pint of Guinness when I was 3 years old in Dalby.
When did you get good at that?
Fuck.
That's awesome. 50 years ago.
Guess what?
50 years
Guess
ago.
what happened?
50 episodes ago, I was doing a bad Irish accent, and I've just been practicing since you were gone.
So-
That's a reason that we've had you away for so long. I've just been working on my Irish accent for your return.
So you could show me up.
Yes. Yeah.
So
No, you're right. It is better than yours now. I'm proud.
Fuck yourself.
Isle of Man, it's an island directly between the UK and Ireland.
Yes.
So would it be an Irish accent?
Oh, I don't know.
UK/Irish listeners, please help. What do y'all talk
It's
like
probably a
over
little
there?
bit of both. Well, what I do know is that the Irving family spoke Gaelic, which makes me think.
What about the Mongoose, though?
Gaelic.
I would imagine it would also be speaking in the tongue of.
See,
the
that's
place.
what I'm.
Well,
Okay.
wait, we'll
Yeah,
get
yeah.
there. Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
There's a family called the Irvings who live there in a stone house, which sounds unfortunate. Especially because they're on an island.
It'd be good for a hot climate.
Yeah, but it's not.
But it's
It's
not
like
a
pretty
hot-
far
you're-
north, and they're on a coast.
You're in the British Isles. It's probably you're getting ocean breeze, and it's probably cold.
Yeah.
You're getting
James,
spritz.
Margaret, and their 13-year-old daughter, Vori. Is that how we're pronouncing that?
I was gonna say Voré, but
Okay.
Vori works for me too. I have no way of knowing.
In September of 31, they started hearing scratching, rustling, and eventually vocal sounds coming from the walls of their house.
Well,
Which
Can we not do this story?
No, it's
Nope.
fine. It's funny. Eventually, sort of.
it's a little spooky.
I'm spooked right now.
I like the spooky outcomes of this story best, so we'll get there too.
Okay.
So I was confused about how being a stone house, that sounds could be coming from inside the walls, but I guess they were insulated. Like they had some sort of like wood
Chips.
on top of the stone, and there was like a gap in between the two.
Chips
So-
and potatoes.
The way that I understand it is you don't have stone walls in between the rooms of the home. So the exterior shell is all made of stone, and then it's insulated with wood and like an inner layer, and then there are
Got it.
dividers, like dividing walls that are then made with wood.
Okay. So they start hearing basically animal sounds coming from their walls.
Yeah, and the interesting, well, I found it interesting. There are two different reports of where they first started hearing it. Some people say, or some of the stories say, the family first started hearing it in their, they called it the farmhouse, which I think was a shed or a barn type structure that was away from the normal house. The other stories I heard said that the first time it was ever encountered was in the attic. So they were hearing it above them in the home.
Okay.
No.
Which,
But I mean, not that weird. Like they live in a fairly rural area.
yeah, the pictures are, it's wide open. Like it's a big, relatively big stone house and not much else around them.
It wouldn't be that weird to get like squirrels or something in your
Yeah.
attic.
Yeah, rats,
Yeah.
mice. I mean, there were for sure mice. A lot of the area was a farming community, so you for sure have mice around there.
The vocalizations at different times sounded like either a ferret, a dog, or a human being.
Oh.
Initially, a like baby human being, which for some reason is almost worse to me.
That
It's way worse.
I'd
is
rather hear
something-
a grown ass man talking from behind my wall than a baby, I think.
Yeah.
Because at least I can fight him, the grown man.
You can't fight the baby? That'd be an easier takedown.
I'd be so good at fighting a
I'm
baby.
not fighting a demon baby in the wall. I'm moving out. It's his house now.
It's his house
You
now.
can't, you can't like punch a baby even if
Time
he's a
out.
demon baby.
Yeah, absolutely. You can. You can punt that baby 300 yards without even thinking twice about
I
it.
would
If it's
clock
a demon
him
baby
into
in your
next
wall.
Sunday.
Yeah. No, that's
Is a demon baby a baby or like a 400-year-old?
Okay, you know what I think? Let me tell you what I
tell
think.
me.
Fuck with me, I'm grown now.
Grown baby.
Yes.
Grown
So
demon baby.
here's
Go
what I
ahead.
think. I think a demon baby is equal to or greater than a grown man.
In what regard?
Just
In its overall
in its
powers.
power.
In its like ability to receive a punch?
In its ability to fuck your life up.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
Don't you think
I'm just thinking, like, what if someone else walks by and sees you not knowing it's a demon baby right as you punt it?
You don't have to explain it. You don't owe anything to anybody. No, you just calmly explain you don't know what happened, man.
Is that how?
I was
is that
being
how getting
haunted.
out of things?
That's
work?
how I get out of anything.
I would just record that baby being a demon right before I kick it and be like, no. Look
Check
at this.
it out.
Look at
We
this
do have
creepy shit.
iPhones now. What year was this again?
1931.
Forget it.
The Irving family was
All
not.
they could do was journal about it and hope someone read it later.
And they did. The father did.
In October of 1931, they first saw a glimpse of what they thought they had been hearing in their walls. And they described seeing a yellow and brown rat-like animal about 9 inches long. It had a long, bushy tail, and also it had human hands.
No, thank you. Can
Human-like hands?
human hands?
I mean, obviously
Oh,
not the size of an adult human
Okay.
because it's a 9-inch long thing.
But that, I think, is an important clarification because,
yeah,
I mean, we talk about a lot of weird cryptids on this show,
it
man.
was,
I'm not
they were
saying...
to scale.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then also think about when you're scared shitless, things get scarier when you keep remembering them.
I do wonder how literally they meant this because, like, are we talking about like the way that a raccoon kind of has human-like hands?
That's my understanding
That's
of
my
it. I don't
understanding as well.
I don't think it's like... the way I understand it is this is not a creature that is like with the face of a hog and the hands of a human. It's like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
It didn't have
There's
claws; it had hands.
If you
is
guys
basically
are
what they're saying.
curious,
I think so.
there's a really good stop motion animation of a cat with human hands.
I hate that.
And it's horrific.
That sounds horrifying.
And I only watched it once. I've never seen it since.
I wouldn't.
I've never gotten too close to a rat. What are they? What do their hands look like?
Raccoon hands.
What do rodent hands look
They're
like?
raccoon hands, kind of. Raccoon hands have
They're
the
not as
opposable thumbs.
And rats and mice don't have that though.
No, they don't. But,
they
they
have
still
longer.
got the.
They have like longer kind of fingery claws.
Raccoons
Rats are
have
so
opposable
smart.
thumbs?
They
Yeah,
do.
they can literally hold glasses, or porcupines are kind of the same way too, where they can like.
I thought they were on the
do
same side
things.
though. I thought it was like 5 fingers, but on the same plane.
a little googling for you.
Yeah, no, I'm.
I guess what I'm
curious,
getting
too.
at is like, could this just be a large rat? And in the moment, they were like, "Oh shit, look at its weird hands because
Well,
it's big."
So, Vore. Sure. I can't remember what we decided on.
You said that. I said Vori.
Vore.
I don't know.
Vore's gonna be easier.
She dead.
Vore's the only one who saw it, as far as we know.
Yeah, a lot of the initial stuff about this mongoose rat demon baby.
Vori was making up.
Well, it originated with her. Yeah.
It originated with her, and the family was on board, but the physical descriptions all came from Vore because she's the only one who claimed to have actually physically seen it
Initially,
initially.
yes.
Who else saw it?
Later, they all claimed to, and a couple people not in their family.
Yes, true. That's right.
But at this point, yeah, I think had only been the 13-year-old daughter.
One thing I wanted to just run back to super quickly about the vocalizations that I thought was interesting was it was described by the family as like an evolution almost. So originally it was just like scratching and sounds of like there's an animal in the walls. And then it turned into more of like gurgling or almost like mimicking like human sounds.
No, no.
Yeah, right. And they actually explained it as it sounded like as if a child were learning to speak English
So yeah,
in the process of the evolution of the sounds it was making.
they first heard this thing in September, first saw it in October, and by December said that it was less animal in nature and, quote, similar to a baby child beginning to talk. And eventually heard definite words coming from the walls. So their response was not what my response would have been. They decided they were going to lean into this and try and teach it how to talk.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. I think that's correct.
I think at that point you either have to kill it or move.
So, what was the name of the dad again?
James?
James? He just like one day was like, "All right, honey."
Well, they started reading it like nursery rhymes and stories.
No.
And within a week, it was able to repeat parts of the stories back to them. And
so wait, at this point, are they like pretty sure it's an animal? Or they're just like, maybe let's just see what happens?
I think they're probably still on the this is a weird animal train, but I got to imagine by the time it starts speaking back to you, you're having other thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, definitely.
even if there's a raccoon in my house, which is a much smarter animal than a rat, if it starts speaking to me, we've crossed some sort of threshold
it's
in terms
no
of
good.
like what I'm going to do and, and what I'm thinking is happening in my house.
They also didn't see it for like a while after they started hearing it, right?
It was like a month between first hearing it and then seeing it, but it was seen very rarely the whole time that this was going on.
Right, like most of the interactions were audible more than they were visual.
Correct. They weren't like sitting down at the table with this thing and reading it a book. It was almost all of these interactions happened with Jeff, the mongoose / rat / demon baby.
I feel like every time you say it, we have to say it. We have to hit it.
I mean, we don't have to, but I definitely
My name is Jeff.
Yeah.
So he's on the other side of the wall telling them about himself and reading books with them.
Yes.
They're not face to face for most of this.
Yes.
So you can make up a pleasant image.
I guess.
If you'd like.
It's
not always pleasant.
Within a couple months of them starting to teach this thing words and how to speak, he / it could speak fluently and conversationally and began to actually pick up other languages as well. So they first taught him English, but eventually Jeff could speak at least portions of French, German, Yiddish, Flemish, Spanish, and Hebrew.
This is no good.
No,
it is not. It's terrible.
Here's what I want to know, and I never found any evidence of this, but did the whole family or some combination of the family speak those languages? It's not like...
No.
See, that's fucked up.
So
maybe he was visiting other homes?
Well, yes, and James, I guess, was pretty well traveled and was at least like familiar with a lot of European languages, but I don't think spoke any of them fluently enough to teach them to someone else.
I also heard that Jeff learned tavern songs.
Yeah, he liked to sing and tell jokes also. He also cussed a lot, so he can be an honorary sweary boy for the next 45 minutes.
Ew! You're an honorary sweary boy too.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Also, on the list of skills that Jeff very quickly picked up, his name was Jeff because he told them his name is Jeff, and we're going with GEF for the spelling of that.
Yeah, and technically speaking, it's Geff. It's a hard G. It's goat or Gaelic. Yeah, technically it's Geff.
As told by Geff / Jeff?
No, as told by...
Because I don't think that's a real name, is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Around their parts, I think it is.
Okay.
Hard G in Gaelic, I think, is just the... like pronounced like goat. But it's way funnier to just call the mongoose Jeff.
I've never heard him called anything other than Jeff.
Word. I just saw...
in like interviews and... all that.
I saw a couple different stories where they said pronunciation at the time of a G starting name would be like a G sound instead of a J sound.
I'm calling that boy Jeff.
You know what it is? You know what the best example that matches this is? It's a GIF. It's not a GIF. And I'll never say GIF.
Yeah, we don't need to get into
And
all
GIF is the dumbest thing.
Ryan.
Yeah, I said it.
Okay, so Jeff liked singing songs, telling stories and jokes. He could also shapeshift, apparently.
Oh, great.
I don't understand how they knew this, considering that they only saw him very rarely.
That they barely saw it. I don't either.
He would sometimes kill rabbits and leave them on the front step like a cat might do.
It was a gift. It was a gift for the family.
It's pronounced gift. And what was weird though is that he didn't like bite the animals, the rabbits. as usually if a cat or small mammal kills something, they're going to bite it, like, to kill it.
At the neck.
He just turned them dead.
No, he choked them out, basically. They had been, like, strangled.
Dude, so he does have human hands.
No regard for human life.
Rabbit life, but
Rabbit
yes.
life. He just
This dude's just body slamming him.
Yeah,
strangling
he used those human hands for human throat choking.
This mongoose is a UFC champion.
It seems that way.
He claimed he was an Indian mongoose, as in from India originally, and that he was 80 years old.
He was born on June 7th in 1852 in New Delhi, India. Mm-hmm. That's what Jeff told this family.
So I was in my research today trying to figure out if mongoose live in or on the Isle of Man.
Okay.
It seems like not a natural habitat for them, being an island and all. And I learned that one or several farmers actually brought mongoose to the island from India.
Yes.
In order to deal with rodents.
Yeah. Specifically rabbits. They had a rabbit problem, and rabbits would chew off wild rabbits would chew off their
that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, it would chew off their crops like right at the ground, and it would fuck up all their incomes. So they brought in mongooses because they're predators and they're carnivores, and so they would kill the rabbits.
Jeff was just doing his job. He was killing the rabbits.
Jeff was doing his job, man.
Better than anybody else.
So we've got Jeff the Hunter, right?
Yep.
We've also got a whole bunch of other gigs that Jeff decided to take on in the Irving family throughout the course of his stewardship.
Residency.
Oh, yeah, his residence in the Irving household. We've got Jeff the Spy.
Uh-huh.
So there are stories from the Irving family that Jeff would tell the family about gossip happening at neighboring homes, particularly if it affected the Irving family themselves.
Oh my God.
So if there was, let's say there was like something dangerous.
Cindy, having a baby. She's 14.
Can you believe Margaret didn't bring a cake to that birthday party? How devilish of her.
How devilish.
My man was bored. He had all these superpowers, and he lived in a town of like 50 people.
So he's scooting house to house, being like, "Yo, you're never gonna believe what Jimmy said about you."
Stirring up shit.
Yep. And then he would come back and tell it to the Irving family.
Oh my God.
Also,
would he okay, this is how I'm wondering how he delivered news. Would he like come into the walls and be like, "Hey,
I mean,
I'm back. Stories from the neighborhood.
I mean,
my name is Jeff.
Hello, my name is Jeff, and Cindy thinks your cooking's garbage."
Or would someone like be home and then hear him be like, "Hey, anybody home tonight?" And then they press their ear to the wall.
Yeah. Knock twice if you can hear me, Jeff.
Tap, tap,
I hear you.
drag.
I hear you too, Jeff. Start clapping. Keep clapping. So Jeff would spy on the neighbors. Jeff would also apparently give the Irving family insights into dangers around the area. If there was like a rabid dog or some sort of predator in the area, he would give them a warning of this. We also have Jeff the firefighter.
I missed this one.
Some nights the family would pass out or go to sleep or leave with a fire still running in the fireplace.
Oh, yeah, they didn't have electricity in their house.
And Jeff would piss on it.
And Jeff would piss it right out. Oh, I'm going to pee on your fire there. Your fire's too hot. I'm going to pee it out.
How does he get the proper angle? He's a little guy. He's very low to the ground.
Well, he knows tavern songs, so he's probably just drinking a lot of pints, and then he's just
projectile piss.
Like from his back up, like at a steep, like nice arc to it.
In all the years that I've heard the phrase projectile vomit, I've never heard anyone be like, "What if?"
Well, I mean, it always is.
What if projectile piss? Yeah, that's true.
He's just like long distance champion pisser.
That's true.
Saying.
And it's
just like myself.
It's a volume thing too. I think it's also a volume thing.
I guess that's more what I'm getting at. That, and I'm getting at, a fireplace is usually like close to floor level, but like in order to put it out, Got to have some sort of downward angle.
Well,
Can't be pissing up at it.
He's in the walls. I mean, maybe he just like slid into the chimney, pissed right down the chimney, and then like hopped right back
and
up.
Smoky in there. You're gonna die, Jeff.
Jeff is
either he's 85.
He's either
exactly.
already dead.
He's not that nimble anymore.
He's either already dead or has enough superpowers that he's going to be like totally fine.
All right, so he put out fires, looking out for the fam.
Jeff the firefighter. We also have Jeff the alarm clock. If the family overslept, Jeff would potentially come in and give you some.
Can anybody hear me?
Yep.
You just
You're late for school.
Yep. There you go.
you just stand on the roof and
My name is Jeff.
like a rooster.
Just over and over and over again until the family woke up.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's right. I think that's what probably happened. No, but that's the story that Jeff would wake the family up. We also have Jeff.
Why?
Sorry?
Why would he do that?
Well, the story that I feel like is created by these anecdotes around what the family says Jeff accomplished for the family is that you can believe Jeff is a variety of things. You can believe, well, and we'll get to this in a little bit, but like if you believe Jeff is more of a spiritual being than a physical being, Jeff is a kind spirit, a poltergeist of like positive nature.
Is he?
Well, not necessarily,
He's
but
projectile
a lot of the
pissing.
Hey, he's projectile pissing, but he's doing it for a good cause.
That's true.
But
He also said that he could kill them if he wanted to, but he didn't want to.
Yeah, but so he's just stating a fact, you know? Like, I can choke out these rabbits. I could choke you out too, but I don't want to do that.
But you know what? Humans can kill each other, and we don't go around saying things like that because that's fucked up.
That's true.
And only psychopaths say things like, I could kill you if I wanted to.
Imagine I'm just sitting here having a nice conversation and coffee with you, Ryan. And we're talking about, you know, my familial relations. I'm having a really tough time with, you know, my relationship with my sister is falling apart.
Yeah, I totally get it.
You know, I barely know her husband, and we're really just not having that. I could kill you if I wanted.
Heck.
Well,
I could kill you.
the difference is...
Which is true, but we just don't tell each other that.
The difference is
because
I'm
no
twice
good
your
can come of
size,
it.
and there's no way you could kill me.
There are so many ways Lydia could kill you.
I could choke you out, for instance.
I'm going to put you just like that demon baby down the street.
I am pretty small.
No, but like, no, I understand that that's obviously a very creepy, fucked up thing to say. I don't know. Some of the things are attributable more to the family than others in this story, and that one seems less attributable to the family.
Huh?
If you...
I don't know.
that's
resources,
a big bullet point for me. That's
resources,
a highlighted one.
The I can kill you bullet point.
I don't trust anything else he's been doing. Alarm clock or not.
Understandably so.
Do you want to hear some other quotes from Jeff quickly?
Jeff has some pretty good quotes. Oh, wait, sorry. Jeff the Exterminator was the last one that I had on my list, which is Jeff kills mice and rats. Or, sorry, they wondered where the mice and rats had gone, and Jeff said that while he could kill the mice, he preferred to scare them away.
How did he do that?
Bro, how does he do anything he does? He's
Just
Jeff
running,
the Mongoose,
running through the walls.
My name is Jeff. My name is Jeff. My name is Jeff.
Until they all are like, that guy's
Fuck
too...
that, I can't hear that one more time.
And he chased him right out. He chased him right out the door.
Oh, no.
So yeah, serving some serving some purposes around the house, not just being creepy. I guess is the point I'm trying to get across.
Yeah.
It's not just like a demon spirit or a thing that's like haunting these people and saying fucked up shit. He's also like, hey, let me hook it up right quick.
Yeah. Okay. Quotes.
Give me some Jeffisms.
Well,
as reported by James, Margaret, and Vorey.
He could sometimes be crazy and or scary / violent. Quote, if you are kind to me, I will bring you good luck. If you are not kind, I will kill all your poultry.
Oh.
I can get them wherever you put them. Okay. The Irvings were farmers, by the way.
Yes.
Dude.
The exact quote from the incident we were just talking about is, quote, you don't know what damage or harm I might do if I were roused. I could kill you all if I liked, but I won't.
See, okay, so I'm imagining, I'd like to hear more quotes, of course, but what I'm imagining is them all huddled in the kitchen making stew. And then shouting down the chimney is the voice of Sean Connery coming out of a 9-inch mongoose. I could kill you all if I wanted, but I won't, because I don't want to.
But yeah, basically, I think
And
you
then
got the
just be
idea.
like, oh, Jeff.
I think you got the idea.
Jeff,
Jesus.
you're so crazy.
He once shouted, "I'll split the atom. I am the fifth dimension. I am the eighth wonder of the world," which sounds like it could also be a Macho Man Randy Savage quote.
Dude.
I'm the eighth wonder of the world.
I'll split the atom. I am the fifth dimension. He said, if I were a spirit, this is Jeff, not Macho Man. If I were a spirit, I could not kill rabbits. Which begs the question that I think we'll discuss in depth later. What the fuck was this thing?
Yeah.
He also described himself as being, quote, just a very clever mongoose.
I'm just a very clever mongoose.
He also once communicated that he was an earthbound spirit.
Okay.
He also communicated once that he was a ghost in the form of a mongoose. He also
Goose.
He also communicated once.
Monghost.
I am. Did you say
Mongoose.
Mongoose?
Yeah.
Mongoose is.
It sounds
Hey.
like he was just a classic manipulator.
Yeah. First, we got to put Mongoose on the list.
That's good.
2, you're absolutely correct.
A gaslighting king.
Jeff also once said, I am a freak. I have
meant to
hands
you.
and I have feet. And if you saw me, you'd faint. You'd be petrified, mummified, turned into stone or a pillar of salt.
I do and do not like him at all.
I get it. I
Hey,
get
Jeff,
it.
what are you into? I don't know. I'm a freak.
I've got feet and hands.
I'm a freak.
And I do lots of freaky shit with them.
Hey. My name's Jeff, and I'm a freak. You ever heard Crash Into Me by Dave Matthews Band? That's my jam.
That song's about me.
That's about me.
Going back to your
My name is Jeff, and I'm gonna crash into you.
Oh my God.
he liked watching people from inside the walls. It's
Yeah,
pretty
he's
close.
a creep. He's a freak.
Quote, I am a ghost in the form of a weasel, and I shall haunt you with weird noises and clanking chains.
I
You said
shall.
weird noises.
I shall haunt you with weird noises, which I've always wondered,
shall.
like, ghosts, right? You're going to hang around in a house and just, like, rattle some shit and go, ooh, every once in a while?
Did you get to the stories about Jeff also moving things in the house?
Yeah, he was a poltergeisty weasel.
So that's when it starts to get.
Hold on, I got a couple more
Okay.
hilarious quotes.
Sorry, we'll get there in a second.
Nuts. Put a sock in it. Chew coke.
Oh.
What?
Sometimes he got upset when other people talked. And he would tell them to put a sock in it and chew coke.
That sounds like a reference I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't either,
Is-
but
I think
I like
he's
that he was yelling
referencing-
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Drugs?
when asked where he would go when he died, which is a fucked up question to ask someone,
I heard the little girl asked him this after a while because she was trying to like suss out more.
if you're a ghost, where do you die? Where do you go? Where you come from? Where
or
do you
just
go?
to get more of the story, like, hey, if that was a Cotton Eye Joe reference,
Sure
I'm gonna
was.
throw you out of your own house. Like, I imagine at a certain point, I mean, you're getting. I was born in 1852 in New Delhi, India, from this mongoose.
I am a marsh mongoose.
I am a marsh mongoose. And then you're getting like all of these additional data points. You're probably at a certain point going to be like, I'm going to need to like suss this. Like, where do you go when you die? I don't know. Like, just suss
Yeah.
out what the whole story is here.
His answer didn't help to clarify anything because he said, quote, to hell, to the land of mist.
Sick.
Dude, that's like,
I'm
that's
going to
the-
go to hell when I die. I'm going to go to
the
hell when I die.
runaround. That poor gal.
I mean, this poor mongoose, he's obviously seen some shit.
Yeah.
To hell. To mist.
I'm going to hell.
He also said, last one, for years I understood all that people said, but I could not speak until you taught me.
Oh.
Yikes. This is your fault, motherfuckers.
So when I kill everyone, this is on you.
Bro.
So a lot of the stories of this that we understand or know.
Sorry. Just got a text from my wife that says, fuck you guys, now I have Crash stuck in my head.
Sick. We've succeeded.
Katie, it's my favorite song.
So we know most of this through a couple different channels. One, James Irving did keep a diary, which some of came out later. I couldn't find anywhere to read it, but I heard that some of this comes from there.
There was a book published in 36.
Was some of it in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
That book is incredibly hard to get a hold of. If anyone ever has a good lead on it, the cheapest copy I could find online was $1,000. Yeah. And the nearest library that has a copy is in Madison. So
road trip.
We could take a road trip to the University of Madison.
True. We also know a big chunk of this through the British tabloids and newspapers. This story caught the attention of Irish and British tabloids and newspapers around the time period, and multiple different news stories were published around this story. Just telling the story. It was a strange occurrence that they were trying to document.
No kidding.
Yeah. The other...
I have a quote from the first article that appeared in mainland press.
Please, yes.
It was the Manchester Daily Dispatch. And they actually sent a journalist there to investigate, who then wrote an article about his experience. He said, quote, "Had I heard a weasel speak? I do not know, but I do know that I have heard today a voice which I should never have imagined could issue from a human throat. That the people who claim it was the voice of the strange weasel seem sane, honest, and responsible folk, not likely to indulge in a difficult, long, drawn-out, and unprofitable practical joke to make themselves the talk of the world.
Wow.
And that many others have had the same experience as myself."
Yo, I did not find this quote. What was this from?
This is the Daily Dispatch in Manchester, which was the first mainland outlet to cover it.
That is a very... Will you read that one more time? That's a very interesting take on this that I have not heard so far.
"Had I heard a weasel speak? I do not know, but I do know that I have heard today a voice which I should never have imagined could issue from a human throat, and that the people who claim it was the voice of the strange weasel seem sane, honest, and responsible folk, not likely to indulge in a difficult, long, drawn-out, and unprofitable practical joke to make themselves the talk of the world."
That's also so true, because I feel like nowadays when people do kind of like the practical jokes for news stuff, it goes viral and they do make money.
Yeah, I think in trying to suss out, like, because obviously the first explanation for this is they were trying to prank us or each other or someone, right? Like it was a hoax of some kind.
Yeah.
And
should we get into the paranormal investigation before we talk about what it might have been?
Sure, but just in reference to this quote,
sorry, go ahead.
And the profitable part, they didn't, as far as was ever documented, make any money off of this, and they actually lost a significant amount of money due to it because they sold their house at a huge loss.
Oh.
So
because it was perceived as haunted when...
Oh my God.
In a small rural community where everyone knew about it.
And I was like, don't buy that fucking house. They got fucking weird shit going on in that house.
So they sold the house when James died in the 70s, and they sold it for like half of what they bought it for in the 30s.
It was...
Wow. So it was $5.
It was earlier than that. But yes.
Or no, sorry. It was destroyed in the 70s.
They sold it in 45.
Yeah.
And then
so
they
13 years
destroyed
after the
it?
story.
Yeah.
Because the happenings never ended?
No, I think it just was old and shitty and they tore it down in the 70s.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, sold it in 45. It was up until like 71 or 73 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they lost, if anything, they lost money on this whole thing.
Wow.
Right. So one of the interesting things that happened, I think, out of the publicity that occurred in Ireland and Britain, and like you said, even made it to the States, is that there was a...
I meant mainland UK, by the way, not the United States.
Oh, my bad. Okay. But it made it to the
Manchester
U.S. too, though, didn't
is
it?
not in the U.S. Eventually, yeah, but not that quickly.
Is that there was what was determined as a paranormal or psychic investigation.
Yeah, because that's a thing you did in the 30s.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, there was the whole like spiritualist movement that was going on around then.
Right.
Where people were trying to talk to dead relatives and take weird photos of their auras and shit.
Right.
So I mean that was like in the public consciousness around
that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the book that you're referring to, I think that's very hard to get a hold of is The Haunting of Cashin's Gap.
Yeah. And that was what, 36?
36
Yeah.
it came out in, and it was written by Richard S. Lambert, who
Love him.
went by Rex Lambert.
Dick Lambert. Oh.
Well,
Is
Rex Dick.
is Rex
Nailed it.
Rex is short for Richard?
I
I
think
thought
Rex
that was like
is-
an Alexander thing.
I think Rex
Am I
is
wrong?
like I think Rex is like Butch. You know, like sometimes you just call people Butch because it's like a nickname that.
Wait, is that real?
What do you
Butch,
mean?
I
Butch is
think
just
Ryan's
its own thing?
making this up.
Butch is like a nickname for. I mean, like I'm sure some people
I thought
have.
it was short for butcher.
Get out, get out.
Seriously, what is that? You just name a person Butch?
No, Butch is like a nickname for. It's like buddy, like same as Rex. Like Rex isn't like a short for anything. Butch isn't
I
short
don't think
for
that's
anything.
true.
No, it is.
I've never heard this before.
All right, whatever.
There are people in my family who just got called Butch even though their name is not Butch.
Just because your family does something doesn't mean that's the way it is.
No, it's a
though.
thing. It's like a nickname.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
nicknames are whatever.
Hi, at
Nicknames have an origin
whatifpodcast.com.
usually. You don't just decide to
at
call
What If
somebody a different
Pod.
name one day.
Join our Facebook group and let's all talk about the names Butch and Rex.
Like if I just started calling you Bill tomorrow, would you go with it? That's not how nicknames work.
No, because Rex is not a name per se. It's like a thing. It's like a colloquial, like it's like calling somebody buddy. You know, Butch is like calling somebody like pal. Hey there, Butch.
I don't think so.
So anyway, there was an investigation that happened between Richard Lambert, Rex, and Harry Price, who was a paranormal investigator. They actually went to the Isle of Man to go check out the situation. Didn't they stay with the family?
I think so. I
They,
don't
like,
think they would have
lived-
had other options, really.
Yeah, that's true. Like there wasn't a 1931
Not an Airbnb.
hotel on the Isle. Yeah, no Airbnbs at the time.
And you want to catch as much of the activity as possible.
Right. True. Which means you're probably going to have to stick around for a little bit.
Are you Googling if Butch is a nickname that's popular?
Of course.
Yes. Carry on. I'll get there.
And in the process, the investigators, Richard Lambert and Harry Price, looked at a bunch of evidence. Would you put evidence in quotation marks?
I'm honestly not super familiar with this investigation.
Okay,
So
so-
you might have to take the lead on this one.
No problem. So they looked at paw prints that the family
You mean
said,
handprints?
Well, yes.
Some
Hand-
look like hands, some don't.
hand-like paw prints that the family said were Jeffisms. The family submitted fur that they believed was potentially Jeff fur. And then they tried to identify some markings on the walls, like scratches on the walls that they thought were Jeff
I hate it.
created.
Also, we should probably point out at this juncture that there was a dog that lived in this house.
Yes. And
Oh, thanks.
And in fact, the fur that was found is dog created.
Well, because Jeff was pranking him. Duh.
Well, yes.
Also, he's a shapeshifter, so
So he can be a
Turn
dog
into a
when
dog
he
for a
wants to
minute,
be
yeah.
a dog. They also determined that the paw prints were probably from natural animals and not from
supernatural animals.
mongooses, not from a supernatural animal like the mongoose.
A very clever mongoose.
A very clever mongoose. So I shouldn't say like determined that, but they said conceivably made by a dog was the assessment of the paw prints. The dog hair, the hair was dog hair.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess what I'm curious about is I don't know how much the family was like, no. Jeff is super real and here's the evidence, or how much it was like, yeah, man, you can look around our house all you want. And the investigators were like, oh, there's a paw print. We'll check it out. Because to me, it's different if the family was saying, no,
Right,
this
right.
is the evidence that Jeff is real. And then they run that back and go, no, it's not. Or whether the investigators were the ones going,
Just collecting stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like maybe this is evidence that it is a thing.
Totally.
That to me changes the dynamic of like the story,
Right.
whether they were trying to position it as real or not. There wasn't a final determination from Lambert and Price, although they said that This is Richard Wiseman was a friend of theirs who assessed their analysis, who said, quote, Price and Lambert were less than enthusiastic about the case, concluding that that only the most credulous of individuals would be impressed with the evidence for Jeff.
Huh.
Okay. Did they get any more specific than that?
No.
That's it, and that's all.
Nandor Fodor, who was a research officer for the International Institute for Psychical Research.
He went by Butch, though.
Went by Butch. And also stayed at the Irving's house for a week and said that he did not see or hear Jeff, and also did not believe that deliberate deception had occurred.
So the family got tricked by something? And then passed that on to others?
So I think now is a good time to talk about the possibilities of what may or may not have happened.
Okay, before we do that,
yes,
Butch is a substitute for Junior in German families.
Is your family German?
No, not at all.
Then that's...
Which is why I think it's like, hey, they're a junior. Like people say, like, hey, they're Butch, like young kid, young guy.
No. Like when you have an actual senior and junior in the same family and need to distinguish between the two. Butch is close to whatever the German word for junior is.
Well...
Also, Rex is just a name that people are given, apparently.
Rexadelphia.
It's
short for Rexadelphia.
It's similar to the Latin word for king.
Oh.
And is occasionally a nickname for Reginald.
That's also, actually, Ryan means little king from Irish languages. It's the Ryan, Ray.
Ryu.
Ken and Ryu.
Hadouken.
What happened, Spencer? Tell me what happened.
This one is really weird, and part of the reason I want to talk about it is because it has elements of a bunch of different shit.
We've got cryptozoology. We got poltergeists. We've got
me fully spooked.
We've got Lydia Liza fully spooked.
Yeah, there's like the cryptozoological elements. I almost got that.
Well done.
It's close enough.
It's still the fourth one you pushed through.
Cryptozoological.
Keep moving on.
It's not zoological though.
Hey, fuck yourself. It's what I want it to be.
Yeah, you're right.
She went Brooklyn on you. Watch out.
We got the cryptid angle. We have the poltergeisty angle in like the disembodied voices and things moving and scratching and like some physical elements to it. Apparently, Jeff also ate food that they would leave out.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Which obviously is a thing that human beings can do. So that doesn't eliminate the hoax angle. You've got the like ghostly, spirity angle to it.
Yep.
Which sometimes overlaps with the poltergeist stuff, but not always.
Yep.
But I can't think of another case where all these things were alleged to have been happening simultaneously in the same place, in the same being.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody had a months-long Bigfoot sighting and it spoke to them and said it was a ghost, but other times told them it was a ape, but other times told them it was like a witch's assistant. There's like there's the whole concept of a witch's familiar. You guys know about that idea?
A witch's familiar?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Oh,
that witches would
I know all about this.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That they'd have like an animal.
Yeah.
That would be like their sidekick.
Yeah, some like special enchanted animal that would go do stuff on their behalf.
You guys ever seen Kiki's Delivery Service?
No, I don't know what that means.
What that?
Well, it's a anime. I love anime, but it's a movie about a little girl who's a witch, and she goes off on her first like witch venture, and brings her little cat Gigi.
Yeah,
it's a black cat that can talk.
Oh,
so there's
her familiar.
Idea.
It's like Sabrina.
Exactly, that is her familiar.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So there's that angle, and just a lot of elements that don't get combined in any other stories I've come across.
Yeah, it sounds like he can't keep up with his lies.
I think
is what's going on.
I think the additional interesting angle that gets layered into this is the perpetration of a hoax element.
Yeah.
So there's been two takes on the hoax and I think we should talk about all of the options in a second, but I want to lay them all out, like lay the cards out there for what the fuck actually happened here.
Yeah.
To like take the world by storm with this story. There's two different elements to the family perpetuating a hoax story, which is one of the investigators from, and I actually don't have the quote up right now, and I wish I did. One of the investigators from one of the publications that came to visit the family said that at one point he caught the 13-year-old daughter, Foree, making sounds while investigating the house.
What the
And
hell?
tried to point it out to the father and the mother, and the father tried to convince the reporter that the sound had come from another location. So
it's all the daughter.
well, there's speculation which goes all the way up to a newspaper article that came out in it was a local article. I don't know what the paper actually was, but the headline was "Clue to Mystery of quote Talking Weasel. Schoolgirl may have power of ventriloquism."
So, I mean, the
I
leading.
want the power of ventriloquism.
Make it sound like it's a superpower.
Yeah, right.
The leading theory on this one is that it was a hoax perpetrated, at least initially, by
The daughter.
Yeah. And she, however, until her death, maintained that that was not the case.
Yeah, she died in 2005 and took to her bed that she had not invented Jeff.
However, I believe, classmate of hers at one point said, and this could be false, and I'm not sourcing it, so take this for what you will.
Yeah.
I heard on a podcast that a classmate of hers said it was a hoax perpetrated by Foree and her mother to try and get them to move out of the house.
Got it.
Because the family was originally from Liverpool,
And they wanted to go back.
did pretty well in Liverpool, made some money, moved to this island
And they
at
were like,
the
"This
behest
sucks."
of the father,
And hated
James.
it.
Yeah, who wanted to start a farm, and his daughter and wife hated it.
Got it.
So that explains some of the stuff in terms of
Yeah.
like how maybe this got started. Then you still have the issue of like, well, other people claim to have heard and seen these things.
Sure.
The father appeared to be like most involved of any of them by the end of it.
Yeah.
And this thing spoke primarily to him and took on a lot of like some of his personality almost.
Which is the other side of the family coin.
What do you mean?
So to me, one of the most interesting takes on what potentially happened, and we can dive into all of these a little more deeply, is that Nandor Fodor, the research officer for the
Butch.
International Institute for Psychical Research, Butch,
He prefers Butch.
he prefers Butch, actually over his week-long stay with the family, believed that there was a complex psychological issue and
Yeah.
that Jeff was part of a split-off personality from Jim Irving, the family's father.
Whoa.
That the sounds that were being generated were, so this sounds somewhat ridiculous, but think about the possibility of you've got multiple people in the house at different times. It's actually, if you look at the photos, it's a fairly large stone home. Like there are photos of the family in front of it. It's not like a one-room schoolhouse. Like it's a relatively large building. I didn't see any photos from inside, so I don't know how the walls are constructed, but some of the investigators commented on how wide and booming the walls were, that you could essentially, I think one of them referred to them as like a sonic conveyor of some kind, basically, that there was
Yeah.
so much space in between the walls that you could essentially
Some
speak
weird-
into one side and that it would maybe fill the home, or if there was a hole or a rafter or whatever, that it might come out and feel like it
you were-
came from
Some
another
weird-
Through
location.
the chimney.
Right. Or if you, if there was a gap in a door frame that you could, be in another room and yell into, that it would feel like it was coming in through the kitchen.
I could imagine a rectangular-ish stone house having some weird acoustic properties.
Yeah. And then imagine a family who, you're It's just the three of you. You live in there day and night. You're in different rooms. Sometimes you're in the bathroom. Sometimes someone's cooking. All of a sudden, someone hears something and says, "Oh my God, I just heard it." And everyone rushes in from other rooms. If you have a split personality, you could be generating those sounds into the walls and then coming in from another room and saying, "What did you hear?"
Are there any other documented cases of a multiple personality situation like this, though?
Not
where it becomes part of like an attempt to deceive? Like,
not that
Yeah.
I'm aware of.
Isn't present in like normal conversation ever?
Not that I'm aware of, but also, A, I don't know the topic nearly well enough. B, I think it's also an interesting idea to say, you know, whether or not you call it true split personality, could there be a mental illness of sorts that would cause the father to create this character or being or, you know, create this sort of like fascination within his family of an additional character in the house? Like that, I believe, is possible without necessarily identifying it as, you know, schizophrenia or split personality.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we're just purely speculating on that.
A bajillion percent.
And it still
But then
doesn't...
again, all of this is...
Right. I mean, yeah, I guess potentially something along those lines is possible. But
Yeah.
like there's no... Even with all of this limited and like very unreliable evidence
dicey,
we're working with
yeah.
in the first place, that is like not included anywhere in any of it.
Which
Yeah.
part?
That there might be some sort of like mental health issues contributing to this. Like that's not documented anywhere. Somebody just said maybe
Just
this is what's
that
going on,
one.
right?
Well, yes, but Nendar Fodor that was his conclusion after living with the family for a week.
Based
But I
on
don't-
what though? And is he qualified to make such a distinction?
I don't know. He's cited in Haunted People the story of Poltergeist down to the centuries. And I couldn't find the book or read the book, but he's cited in there for saying that was his take on what was happening in the family.
Interesting.
So yeah, I don't know that he's qualified to make that judgment or
I
not.
mean, I'd
but
be very curious to know what that conclusion is based on too.
yeah, no, for sure. But I
And
mean,
if there's good evidence of that, like you should probably publish that if you're allowed.
right, because that would be one of the bigger.
That would settle it, right?
Right. If you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I walked into the bathroom and he was like hollering into the rafters one night.
Also, again, like wouldn't that level of behavior be noticeable in other aspects of his life?
sure.
I mean, this guy
Yeah.
is around people all the time. His family apparently didn't have concerns about this.
Right. Like
Or
he's
if
not
they
being
did, they weren't, sharing them with anyone, his friends, other people in his neighborhood.
right. Like he's not being dicey on a day-to-day basis. He's only being dicey in the way of like and also hiding all of it from the
Yeah,
two
that
people
just
he lives with
Totally.
in
Doesn't
24/7.
add up to me.
No, it would
So-
be far more clear for sure to them.
So those are the two family takes. Is the hoax is the daughter, or potentially the daughter plus the mother, tried to create this being in the home to spook the family enough to get out. The father potentially was doing it out of some sort of unverified, undocumented mental illness for whatever reason.
Or the kid has the power of ventriloquism.
The kid's throwing sound around the house.
Wow.
So let's really dive into like what the fuck, right? The thing about those two stories that doesn't match for me is if the daughter is doing this of her own accord and she has let's say she has the power of ventriloquism and she's the one yelling into the walls, throwing sound around the house, fucking with her family.
Yep.
Where is she learning multiple languages from? Where is she
Yeah.
learning tavern songs from? How's she learning how
She's
to
a
curse?
drunk.
How she,
She's a
She's a
drunk.
13-year-old drunk. How's she creating a voice that a reporter heard and said, not like any fucking human shit I've ever heard?
Yeah.
Like there's
The hard part about all of this, though, is like so much of this information is just coming from the family.
yeah, the vast majority of it, right?
The only documentation is they said it happened.
Yeah.
So did that guy that...
So
did
what
that-
the fuck?
Well, did that reporter hear it speak those 7 different languages? Or did the family just say, yeah, sometimes it speaks Yiddish?
Right. And he said they seem like good, down to earth. Well, I don't know what the verbiage he used was, but like good, down to earth, normal people who wouldn't be lying about such a thing.
Yeah.
And he took that at their word and said, yeah, it speaks multiple languages.
God damn it.
To me, that's not worth a ton. You know, people assess people incorrectly all the time.
Right. But
a lot of people thought like fucking Jeffrey Dahmer was a good guy. Like people are wrong about shit like that.
No,
often.
definitely. Which then leads me to go, so what's the most rational thing? That this family concocted this very wild story for the fuck of it?
For the views.
Right, for the views. Because that's the thing, right? Is like, we talked about, like, they didn't gain anything from it, really.
Is it possible that the daughter managed to, at least for a while, genuinely like trick her parents?
Yes.
And then by the time it became a story, if they did figure it out, maybe they didn't want to say,
we got tricked by our 13-year-old fucking daughter.
Yeah, sorry.
This brat.
International newspapers that are publishing updates on this, we're gullible.
I mean, yeah, but at that point, wouldn't you just want to shut it down and like get the people, like, why are you allowing investigators to stay in your home for 7 days at a time?
Yeah.
If you're just like, no, like our fucking goofy daughter was bullshitting us. And also,
maybe it was a real poltergeist situation. They often happen in homes where there are teenage women.
I just had a breakthrough.
What?
Did they say? Wait, yes, they did. In the guy who stayed with them, he said perhaps it's a split personality disorder with the father.
Right, but
or did he say
his stick was with the father, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was. I mean, it could have been one of the other family members.
I was just saying, if someone caught the daughter, making noises once, she could have had like, I don't know,
some version of that same.
It does seem more likely to me that mental health issues of any kind would go undiagnosed longer in a 13-year-old than an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah, harder to pinpoint.
I don't know enough about, any types of disorders to know when that stuff usually pops up, at what age. I think
it's like 13 to 18.
13 is pretty young for a lot of stuff, but I don't know.
Who can know?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not that, then you're left with, there was a poltergeist of some sort. There was a supernatural cryptid of some sort.
My name is Jeff.
Or a weasel ghost.
Yeah.
Mongoose. We got to take Jeff at his word.
Yeah.
But even that changed multiple times.
Right.
He had so many jobs.
There was also like, I don't know, the feeling that I have, especially with like a feeling that the family had to have concocted it, is just the whole, no, Jeff wakes us up. Yeah, no, he wakes us up in the morning. Or like, Jeff puts out the fire when we forget about it. Or no, Jeff tells us when the neighbors down the street have talked about us and we don't, there's just so much, there's so many layers and complexities to what they envisioned this thing doing or providing them or giving to them, that I'm like, man, they had to kind of all be, I mean, if this is one person in the family going to do this, how are you convincing the entire family that this is what's happening? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, how are you going to convince the kid that there's this animal who's going to visit your neighbors and pull, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's so much more effort, and there's a level of complexity that seems like it would be way too hard to accomplish by just like a being speaking through the walls to one of them or to two of them, and it's really just your parent in the other room like hollering into the rafters. Do you know what I mean?
Can I read, this is from, it's a book called Jeff, ! The Strange Tale of an Extra Special Talking Mongoose.
Jeff!
Yeah.
Jeff!
My name is Jeff.
There it is.
Written by Christopher Josephy.
Okay.
I couldn't get a hold of the whole book in time, but I found an excerpt.
Sick.
talking about, he went out there more recently and spent a lot of time in the area because the house is not there anymore and talking to people. He says, quote, "Indeed, the more likely story that Jeff never really existed is in many ways more unsettling than the paranormal explanation.
Oh.
Mainly because it defies a number of common assumptions about human psychology and the way a small family, mainly isolated, might grow in strange ways. Looking for a motive beyond profit and fame suggests a family in turmoil, a crisis that manifested itself in a mischievous and protective supernatural creature. Did Voray invent Jeff to connect with her father?" This is actually from a review of that book by Christopher Justve. Justve notes that Irving claimed his daughter was, quote, "not an affectionate child," and that the only one of his children he'd been close to was his son Gilbert, who by the time of Jeff's appearance had moved to the mainland. Unsurprising then that Jeff emerged as a replacement son for James. James Irving's fondness for Jeff was matched by Jeff's warm feelings for Jim or Jimmo, as if in acknowledgement of a father-son relationship. Jeff would ask Irving to tell him ghost stories at night. So just speaking,
that's very sad.
Just speaking more generally to maybe there were just a lot of messed up family dynamics at work and maybe some amount of mental health on multiple parties and just generally sort of a unhealthy situation for everyone involved.
Yeah, created this sort of being that got out of hand.
And both for the three of them and for outsiders looking at the story, it's less scary in a way or less sad to look at a story about a talking mongoose than to be like, these guys really need help that they're not getting and we probably can't provide.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Again, purely speculation, but that's really all we have to go on with this story.
Yeah, and also, Occam's razor, right? Like you go for what's the most logical, what's the most probable and logical answer to the story, and that's where my compass starts to lead me is this sort of co-created group delusion that exists because of these isolated, strange, new, fucked up family dynamics that turns into this thing that just gets fully out of hand.
I mean, you're living in a pretty harsh environment, just climate-wise.
Right.
In a house with two other people.
Right.
And no electricity.
Right.
I was scared, and now I'm deeply sad.
Well, we don't know. It may have been a mongoose.
Okay, thank you.
It might have been a mongoose.
That's better.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been a mongoose.
That's more bearable.
Exactly.
Than the sad truth.
Yeah, and I think the reality of the explanation that you just hypothesized too is it is in many ways it's like is that the phrase for it? Group delusion? What's the
folie à deux.
Folie à deux.
It's like a shared delusion.
A shared delusion.
Yeah.
Like that concept.
Or toi in this case.
Yeah, toi. Because it makes more sense to me that.
Do you know I speak French?
Now I do.
I can do Spanish. I can't. It makes more sense to me that the daughter says things like, "Well, I saw it," and the mother says, "Well, I took a photo of it," and the dad says,
"I had him draw a self-portrait."
Yeah, and
you know that. Jeff drew a self-portrait at one point, according to James.
Oh, did not know that detail.
I found a photo with some link or a link with some photos of the prints and alleged photos of Jeff and Jeff's self-portrait.
Oof.
Yeah.
We should pull the ripcord before we take this thing too hard because this kid woofy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This sounds so much more like a shared delusion than it does anything else.
Well,
on that note,
that's that on that.
Lydia, what do you want to shout out? Anything going on? Any shows, records, anything you want to tell the people about? Tell them right now.
I have drank 3 LaCroix during this episode and I've never had to pee worse.
Yeah.
Also, you have a show on May 4th at Bauhaus?
Yeah, I do.
With our buddy POS?
Yeah.
Tight.
It's real talk and live music, so interviews about mental health and then
dope.
Playing a couple of tunes about how sad I am.
I like it. We'll be there. It's patreon.com/whatifpodcast if you want to get more episodes. It's hi@whatifpodcast.com if you want to send us an email, 612-246-4614 if you want to leave us a voicemail, and whatifpodcast.com for all of your what if needs. We love you guys. We appreciate you for supporting the show. And as always, we will see you next week.
Y'all stay focused. Y'all keep working hard. Believe in yourself. Prove everybody that doubts y'all wrong. Show up every day. Stay pure. Keep your heart pure. Stay motivated. Stay inspired. Show love to your people.